So we need a configuration file for Firebase. This is not a component. It is JavaScript, but it is not a component, so I am not going to capitalize the file name. So I'm going to make a new file called lowercase b base.js. And this is just going to be my Firebase configuration. Look at the example here on the rebase README. It says we need to require rebase, we need to require Firebase, we need to require database, we need to initialize app, call Firebase database, do this stuff. And if you look at that, that's really similar to what's here. So what it's telling you to do in Firebase console is, outside of React, to just include Firebase from a CDN or something. So we'll want to do something a little closer to this, but we will need this config information right here. We need this object. Okay, so copy that out of here. You need to copy that out of Firebase. It's different for all of us. This is your API key and all that stuff. So this is your stuff, so you need to copy that. And then in this file, we need to import Firebase from Firebase/app. That's what it says to do here. We need to import database from Firebase/database. And we need to import rebase. So capital R rebase from lowercase hyphenated rebase. Then what we're going to do is initialize Firebase using that config object that they wanted us to create. Now they said var config equals this. We don't trifle with that var business. So I'm going to say const config equals all that. Again, your specifics will be different. This is my API key, my database URL, etc. Yours will be different. Then we do need to do what it says here and initialize an app. So Firebase.initialize app with that config object. Now, since we are using rebase, we actually need the object that this creates. So I'm going to say const app equals Firebase.initialize app. And again, all this stuff, I don't just know this. This is all documented in the README here. And I need a database, and I need to create a rebase instance out of that database. So I'll say rebase.createClass. And I pass it in app.database, or we could say const db equals app.database, and then create class db. So I'm configuring Firebase, I'm initializing a Firebase app, and then I'm creating an instance of rebase that uses that Firebase database instance. And it's that thing, it's that rebase class that I want to actually import into my React. So I'll export default rebase.createClass. So remember, your base.js will be different from mine.
No, because we're still not using the database.
Pardon me?
We aren't using the database.
We actually are. We're just not using the name there.
Okay.
But we're using it here. This line does not work without that there.
Okay.
All right. Remember, your config will look different from mine. So if you're copying my code, don't copy this file. Use your own. And in fact, generally speaking, it's a bad idea to commit files that have things like your API key in them. So, maybe we don't do that. So we've kind of casually mentioned git ignore before. So that's a file that's automatically in here, .git ignore. And it tells us files that we don't want to be included in the repository. So we could just add in here somewhere, put a comment, says Firebase config, and just put base.js. So just, if I look at my Git here, then you'll notice it's not even wanting to commit that file anymore. It's just completely ignoring it. But what I could do is create another file, a copy of it. I'll create a copy of this called base.example.js. And I'll just strip out all the scary stuff. So, you know, your API key, your auth domain, your database URL, your project ID, your storage bucket, your messaging sender ID. And then this file is fine to commit. It doesn't contain our secrets. In the case of Firebase, this isn't the most important thing in the world because we'll do other things that make it secure anyway. This is a JavaScript file that's going to be loaded in the browser anyway, so users will be able to read it. So it's not the most secure thing in the world. You can still lock it down using whitelists and stuff, but still. GitHub will scream at us if we do things like commit files that have API keys in it. It'll let us, but it'll tell us we're stupid. It searches for certain things. It searches for certain things to keep you from doing insecure stuff. Yeah, it has some static things that run. I'm not sure it used to do this, but it screamed at us a couple weeks ago when we did this with the first class. So, okay, add example Firebase config. So we've got this config here. We've got a real one too, but we're not using it yet.